Hey everyone, welcome to the assembly video for the Estate Junior Mountain. Great 24-inch mountain bike for kids. We recommend ages around 6, 7, 8 depending on the kid, up to sort of 14 or 15. Really good. Built with a nice lightweight design. We had a target weight of 11 kilos, so aluminium frame, lightweight components, easy for kids to maneuver and get around. Good, durable, basic components that will last a long time, hopefully bring loads of fun. Get your kids out and about, enjoying the outside fresh air. So in this video, we're going to take you through putting it together. We've taken it out of the box so far. It's not hard to put together. I think following the video, for most people, you'll find it pretty straightforward. First thing you want to identify when you take it out of the box, this little box. This has some important parts in it. Has your instruction manual. There's more detail if this video is not enough for you to get up and riding. And then importantly, has this little bag of tools. There's a wrench and some Allen keys there. This is everything you need to put the bike together. So we're going to be using these with a few steps along the way. So let's get into it. All right, step number one, we're going to fit the handlebars. You can see we've taken the bike out of the box, just unwrapped it. Handlebars go on the stem here. So first step, we take our Allen key. We're going to take these stem bolts out. This is the front cap of the stem. We need to take that off. So loosen these bolts right up. I'm going to try and keep them in the stem cap here, like so. I'll just put that down. And now take our handlebars. Make sure you put them the right way around with the cables in the right position. You can line these up sort of roughly for the moment. You generally try to get the rise of the handlebar in line with the forks. Shifter goes on the right hand side, and we take our stem cap. Sometimes it's easier to do with two people, but I think we'll manage. Get these screws in to hold it in place. You don't need to do this super tight at this point because you can adjust this later and get the positioning exactly right. But do this up to sort of hold it in place. When you're doing this up finally, we quote torque settings in our manual, but we also give you a guideline if you don't have a torque wrench, which not many people do, on what a torque number feels like. And typically the size of the bolt given by the size of the Allen key gives you a pretty good idea. On these, for example, if you're using just the length of that Allen key and doing it pretty tight, you're probably going to be perfect. You're going to be pretty close. You don't want to over tighten things or you might damage the stem. So we'll get them in place for the moment. Now we'll move on. Okay, next we're going to fit our seat. Seat comes pre-assembled on the seat post, and seat uses a quick release to make it easy to adjust the height. Important thing about a quick release is they have a lever that locks it in place, but you can adjust how tight they are. You adjust it by holding onto this side and then turning or loosening the lever part. So if we put our seat in place, just drop it into an approximate height right now, and then we lock our quick release, and then try grabbing the seat. Now this is too loose, right? That's what'll happen if it's too loose. It'll move while you're riding. So we'll take our quick release. I'll take that out, turn it tighter. I'll just do about half a turn. Put our seat back in place, and then lock our quick release. I can feel it's much tighter, and now the seat is tight and probably won't move. So get that right. You can adjust this any time though to set the height, depending on height of the kid riding. Okay, now we're going to fit our pedals to the bike. Pedals are marked left and right for left and right hand side of the bike. Pretty important because the threads are actually what's called left and right hand thread. So you can't put them in the wrong way. If you force it, feels like it's not going in right, you probably got them wrong. Right hand thread, right hand pedal, normal thread goes in the right side of the bike. So we just get them started in the crank, turn it in, you can tighten it by hand, and then we give you a wrench, a spanner here, to tighten it up the final amount. You don't need to do these super tight, just sort of cinch it up so it feels nice and firm. It should be fine to go. All right, now we're going to fit our front wheel. We've turned the bike upside down here, which probably makes it the easiest. take out this fork protector. Key is here, we've got to release our brakes to fit the wheel. And we do that by this little section here. It's called the noodle typically. We need to release it from the brake caliper. So we squeeze the two arms together with our hand so that gets loose. And then we pop this down and we take it out completely. That lets the arms come wide apart to then fit the front wheel in. Now we're going to take our front wheel. Probably easiest to take the nuts off and the little washers off for the first time you fit it. Just make it easier to assemble it. Take our wheel, fits through the brake easily, sit it in place. And now we're going to fit our nuts. These little locking washers, they're important now. They help make sure if the nuts come loose, the front wheel doesn't fall off. Fit them in place with the little tab in a hole in the fork, and then put our nut in place. Same on the other side. Once you've got them in place, use your wrench, tighten it up. Again, you don't need to go crazy, but do it nice and snug. You don't want a front wheel coming off. Once we've got the wheel in place, reconnect the brake. A bit more of a challenge. Just know you've got a tyre in place, but hold the brake arms together. You particularly do this one. Fit it up and pop it in place. Now your brake is reconnected again. Alright, good. Your Estate Junior Mountain has got 7-speed Shimano gears, rear derailleur here. Gears make it, of course, easy to ride up hills, but they do need some adjustment to be running at their best. And as the bike gets ridden and cables move and wear in a little bit, chain moves, you will need a little bit of adjustment here. This is something, of course, that bike shops do, but you can do this yourself. We'll run through how to do that. One of the easiest ways, put the bike upside down like this, come and turning the pedals. You're going to be turning the pedals to shift gear. And we're going to shift using our hand lever into the highest gear, like so. And then we're going to shift down one gear, and we're going to look for a nice clean shift. Now you can see in this case, the gears are jumping. They're trying to step back up onto the highest gear and jumping around. So we need to give it some adjustment. So we're going to come to this little adjustment here, which is our cable length adjustment on the rear derailleur. And in this case, because it's trying to skip upward, we're going to turn that in to basically shorten our cable. I'm going to use some pliers here. You might be able to do this by hand, of turn that adjustment, but sometimes they can be tight. I can turn that a bit by hand. I'm just going to give it probably a full turn, maybe a little bit more. And then I'm going to try again in that gear. And now I've stopped that jumping. So it's nice and clean on that second gear down. And you can shift through the gears using the lever while you're turning the pedals like this, and have a play with that adjustment, and do that periodically to make sure it's shifting nice, running nice and smooth, that the bike's working well. Alright, let's now adjust our brake levers to get them set up right. First adjustment is the angle of the lever. Loosen the mounting bolt here, and then you can adjust the angle like this. You probably want to have the rider sit on the bike and work out where their hands go. The height of the rider is going to change the natural angle of these. And I'll tilt that down to see this adjustment. The other thing you can adjust is what's called the reach of the lever. So how far away the lever is from the grip. So with little hands, you probably want the lever in closer, like this. And there's an adjustment here, the Phillips head. I'm using it on the end of this Allen key that we supply to adjust that. I'm going to pull it forwards, and I'm going to do a few turns of this. And you can see that lever coming in closer to the bar, like so. Now the lever's much closer for little hands to pull. Then the other part of our adjustment for brakes is our cable adjustment. You've got this adjustment here to do it, and you've also got the cable position down the back here, and of course at the front. Let's talk a little bit more about that, about how we adjust brakes to work well and be nice and free running. Okay, your estate bike uses V-brakes. Very easy to service, very reliable technology, can be looked after by any bike shop. Brake pads are widely available. Comes with an all sort of purpose wet and dry pad. But I'm going to show you some important adjustments to get it running right. The cable adjustment, of course, is one thing, and that's when you pull the lever, how far does the lever pull towards the handlebar? And again, maybe based on the adjustment you've done for the reach, for big or small hands. To adjust that, you've got an adjustment here, which you turn out for making the lever pull less, or wind it right in for the longest lever pull. And then the other important one is getting the brakes even. And you've got an adjustment on either arm, the tension adjustment, which you can see here and here. When I pull this lever on this one, this arm is moving much more than this arm. So we need to add some tension to the spring on this arm. So we're going to turn this bolt inwards. Test again. Now it's much more even. Probably needs a bit more. Turn it in a little more. Let's have a look. Now we're nearly even, still a little more. You can also loosen the one on the other side to do this. And the amount of tension here will determine how hard it is to pull the brakes too. A little bit more still. We're going to get this nice and even. By having it even, we're also going to make sure the brakes don't rub, there we go now, on the rim when the rim is turning, like so. Okay, do this on the front and rear. If you need to make a major adjustment, you've got to change your cable position here. That's a bit more work, maybe left for the bike shop. Also, adjustment of your brake pads and how they rub against the rim. You got to make sure they're nice and square and hit the rim at the right time. You do that by loosening this off here. Again, anything you're doing though with brakes, if you're not experienced, I recommend maybe having a bike shop check it out, because this is an important safety part for your kids riding the bike. Okay, bike assembled. Important part now, final check before going out for a ride. Check your stem bolts are tight, check your seat clamps tight. Make sure your handlebars are aligned with the front wheel. If you need to adjust that, the 2 bolts in the stem can do that. Most importantly, check wheel bolts are tight, front and rear, pedals are reasonably tight. And then I think most important part when kids go for a ride on this bike is test the brakes. Use the brakes, ride somewhere where there's no obstacles, open ground, make sure that they can bring the bike to a stop, feel safe riding the bike. Most important part. But hopefully they'll be out there having fun, getting many years of enjoyment out of their Estate Junior Mountain. Can be used all purpose. I think great to get kids out and about, and I hope you get many years of use out of it.